Hi guys, welcome back to Different Shades Make a Change, where young people talk Black history. So I'm your host Audra, and our topic for today is music, and this is my guest Lisa.
Hi.
So for our topic music today, like everybody loves music. I love music. Do you love music?
Yeah, I love music.
Okay, so when you hear music, what do you think of?
Afrobeat, drill, rap.
Right. Well, before we get into that, let's go back in history a bit. So, going back to 1912, when the trumpeter W.C. Handy got the nickname Father of the Blues and publishes the sheet music for Memphis Blues, which he called the Southern Rag. 2 years after that, he wrote the classic St. Louis Blues.
Yeah. You cannot talk about blues, jazz, swing, and soul music without mentioning Otis Redding, Billie Holiday, Robert Johnson, Bessie Smith, Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, and many more great musicians.
Yeah, music's a really big part of Black history. Do you know that in 1934 the Apollo Theatre opened in Harlem, New York City and became a cultural and musical hub?
Black music is so wide. Like, when you think of rock and roll, people think of Elvis Presley. But actually, Sister Rosetta Tharpe was a role model and was even named the godmother of rock and roll. Basically, her electric guitar playing was revolutionary in the 40s.
Yeah, and then in the 50s we had Chuck Berry, Ike Turner, and Nat King Cole.
But what about classical music?
Oh my gosh, there was this famous female opera singer called Mariam Anderson, born in 1897. She performed with famous orchestras in major concert and recital venues throughout the United States and Europe between 1925 and 1965.
Yeah, she was an important figure in the struggle of African American artists to overcome racial prejudice back in the United States during the mid 20th century.
In 1939, during the era of racial segregation, the Daughters of the American Revolution refused to allow her to sing at an integrated audience in Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C.
Luckily, President Franklin Roosevelt and his wife intervened, and she performed in a packed crowd.
So, moving on to the 1960s, where Berry Gordy was the king of Motown Records, producing hundreds of hit songs such as The Supremes, Marvin Gaye, The Four Tops, Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, The Jackson 5, and many others.
Tell me about it. I even listened to the oldies myself. Oh my gosh, can we not forget James Brown, Jimi Hendrix, Isaac Hayes, Ray Charles, Arthur Franklin, Tina Turner, may she rest in peace, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, so much great musicians in Black.
Yeah. Going back to the 1970s, when an underground urban movement known as hip-hop began to form in the Bronx, New York City, and also the reggae rhythms in the US with the release of Bob Marley and the Wailers bringing Jamaican music.
Yes, with the famous tune, Could You Be Loved and Be Loved.
Could you be loved and be loved? I can't. So, for the first time in the charts history, in R&B/hip-hop mainstreams in the early 2000s, the top 10 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 were all Black artists.
Yeah, it had people like Beyonce featuring Sean Paul, Nelly P. Diddy, and Murphy Lee, Little John, and East Side Boys featuring Yin Yang Twins, Chingy, Pharrell featuring Jay-Z, Young Blood featuring Lil Jon, 50 Cent, Fabulous featuring Tamia or Ashanti,
Ashanti on top.
Ludacris featuring Swana, Black Eyed Peas.
Wow, awesome talents. And then we have Afrobeat. So, what's your favorite Afrobeat tune?
I don't really have a favorite Afrobeat tune, or like an artist that I enjoy, but one of my favorites is probably Tenny. What about you?
Either Burna Boy or Danger.
Yeah, the classics.
Anyways, we can talk about music forever, but sadly we have to close. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you Nafisa for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to watch Different Shades Make a Change and for watching our topic music. And we hope you've enjoyed watching us and learning about Black history as well as opening your eyes on other topics. And once again, I'm your host, Ashra.
Ignore the fact that it's missing strings and it's out of tune.
Could be worse. I take it back.